Ladies and gentlemen, in this RedGaming.com video we have some news on Nosgoth. Nosgoth, of course, is known to be the land that Legacy of Kain is set in, and of course there were Steam leaks as well as AMD Crossfire application profiles for the title, which hinted that it was in development. Now we actually have a statement from Square Enix on the matter. We're aware the community has been actively discussing rumours about a game currently in development called Nosgoth after it was referenced in AMD's Crossfire application profile and Steam database last week. While we can confirm that this game exists, is in active development and is set in the same universe as Legacy of Kain games, is not a traditional even single-player LoK experience. Given the AMD and Steam leaks, it feels weird to have a bunch of info out there, and we don't want the community to get the wrong idea, especially as the game won't be at this year's E3. We can also tell you that Nosgoth is not being developed by Crystal Dynamics, nor are they working on a Legacy of Kain game right now, and while our game is set in the world of Nosgoth, it's very much on a separate branch to both Soul Reaver and Blood Omen series. Sorry to be so cagey. There will be an official announcement in the due course, and we'll reveal Nosgoth properly. So we can't go into tons of detail just at the moment. Everyone at Square Enix is really excited by the game, and we're all looking forward to lifting the veil of secrecy in the near future. And that would be end quote. So, as someone who played pretty much every one of the Legacy of Kain games, as well as Soul Reaver, of course, I can honestly say that I'm not really sure how excited I am about this news. I'm greeting it with mixed emotions. Why? Well, for those who are unfamiliar with the titles, Legacy of Kain is highly story-driven. It's also very dark, and I played the original back on the PlayStation 1. It was also released on PC, and I played all the subsequent titles, and of course there haven't been a LoK series game in a long-ass time. But honestly speaking, I really worry about this game because it's so multiplayer focused, apparently. Now obviously we don't know all of the details yet, and so that doesn't even tell us the type of game. We don't know if it's going to be like an MMO, we don't know if it's going to be more of a League of Legends type of game, and so on and so forth. My concern is, however, that generally speaking, I always worry about titles that are so story-driven being turned into MMOs or multiplayer experience games, because in my opinion, generally, it turns into almost like a grind fest, and the storyline, which, in my opinion, is the main reason to play Legacy of Kain games, right? The voice acting and the storyline are really, really good. And as it turns out, the combat in Legacy of Kain and so forth wasn't that good. I mean, it was pretty decent for the time, of course, but it certainly wasn't up to the standards of some other titles. But it was the actual world that was created. It was this dark tale of, well, pretty much I can sum it up with this phrase: Kain refused the sacrifice. Now, for those who do not have a bloody clue what the hell I'm telling about, get it? It's about vampires, bloody clue, ha ha ha. Anyway, at the end of Legacy of Kain, the original, if, you know, mute this if you're a bit of a spoiler fiend, but basically at the very end of it, it doesn't take the wishy-washy approach that even like the original Knights of the Old Republic took. Basically, the canon is on this game, and there are two endings. You can actually make your decision, but the canon is that Kain himself said, yeah, I'm basically gonna screw the world over for myself because I felt that they screwed me over initially. I'm really vastly simplifying it. And so he decided to remain alive, become immortal, obviously stay as a vampire, and started to create more vampires along the way. And then he started to change his tune along the way and kind of became like an anti-hero, I suppose is the best way to put it. I'm really simplifying the storyline because it's been A, a long-ass time since I've played it, and B, the storyline would take me a hell of a long time to explain. Sorry about that, it was just my phone crying at me because it's low on power. But, honestly speaking, I worry about this title because there have been obviously titles that have gone the MMO route, World of Warcraft, for example, did it really well. But the reason I think they did it really well is because they had such a rich universe to A, draw from, and B, you weren't really in charge of one particular destiny or storyline. For example, in let me start again with some English. In Warcraft 3, of course, you played as either Arthas in the Undead campaign, or you may have played as, say, any of the other races. But on something like Knights of the Republic, which I regularly criticize, not because it's a bad game, and that's the thing. If it had just been like some other MMO, I actually would have been cool. If it would have been like, you know, another Star Wars MMO, but to me it was supposed to be the sequel to, or the continuation of the storyline, and I didn't really feel like that. Despite the fact it was a really good storyline, the Old Republic, I just really wanted Knights of the Old Republic 3, because the game had been so awesome up until that point, you know, so story driven, and then the problem is, then you go to this area where you have to kill 50 rabbits and you have to collect their feet. It just doesn't work, and of course I am being a bit witty, if you will, on the quests, but you get the general, you know, gist of how MMOs work. So obviously we don't know this is an MMORPG, and I really hope in that respect it's not, because I think that certain storylines just don't lend themselves that well to MMOs, and that's just my personal opinion, of course. I was hoping that we were going to get a title that was set on either the PS4, or of course we know it's going to be on PC because of the Steam profiles, but you know, that type of game. So in other words, a next generation game that either rebooted the franchise, because honestly speaking, it has been a long time, so obviously some of the younger gamers, or even some gamers who played it back then may not have had a PlayStation or whatever. They may have gone the Saturn Nintendo route, whatever, and therefore missed out on it. Or we may just want a retelling of the game. So, you know, start from the beginning. You have excellent storylines to, you know, deal with. Obviously there were a couple of issues in the game, so deal with those as well, and you know, begin the game again, whatever you had to do. But I was really hoping for a proper next generation title, and that's not to say that this isn't going to be. We'll have to see. It's a multiplayer title, so I'm going to really hope for something excellent. I'll be honest with you guys, Kain himself is actually one of my favourite characters in gaming, because in my opinion he's really deep. His motivations and so on are not just the normal maniacal, I want to rule the world, and there are actually many different levels there. So it's definitely one of my favourite franchises of all time, so I honestly am extremely anxious just what's going to happen with this game. Anyway, I think that's just about it for this particular video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. I will no doubt see you guys soon. Take care and bye for now.